Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Thanks for joining us today. I noticed you have on a different shirt today, buddy.
Yes, I do. As you can see, everyone, this is my Father's Day present from our kids. I love it. They know I love Star Wars. We all watch it together. And of course, as you can see, I'm the best dad ever. But specifically Yoda, best dad ever.
You really are, babe.
Thank you, babe. That's very nice of you.
Yeah.
So this week we decided to do something a little bit different. As you know, a whole bunch is going on in our world still with racial tension and things like that in the country. And there was what we thought was kind of a feel-good story that happened recently. A couple got married in Philadelphia right in the middle of a Black Lives Matter protest, and it caused some stir.
Yeah, so Message Magazine asked to interview us about this particular story and wanted to know our opinion about what we thought, because a lot of people had different opinions. Some people didn't like it. Some people thought it was selfish. Then others thought it was a great thing that happened.
Some people thought they were trying to get attention, stuff like that. They wanted to see what we thought about it, and we're curious to see what you think about it too.
Yeah, so we're going to share that with you today, and we hope you enjoy it. And tell us what you think.
Yeah. See you at the end.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of What's the Message? I am your host, Claudia Allen, and of course, I am here with my co-host, my commander-in-chief, my editor-in-chief, the lady that makes it all happen, the one and only Carmela Monk Crawford. And I am so excited for today's conversation because I have brought some really good friends of mine to talk about a topic that is particularly close to heart. And so I would like to introduce you to Pastor John and April Nixon. John and April have been married for almost 20 years and have been coaching couples for about the same amount of time. Together, they have two children, John the third, 15, and Julia, 12. They host a relationship podcast called Just John and April that airs on YouTube every Friday. And John serves as the lead pastor at Tacoma Park Church in Maryland, and April is a middle school teacher at Spencerville Adventist Academy. Beyond all that, they're just mad fun. And I'm telling you, you guys are going to enjoy their personality, their wisdom, and everything that they kind of have to share with us right now as we talk more about relationships. All right. Now, I am particularly excited about today's episode because there was one couple who got married in the midst of a Philadelphia George Floyd protest. I am talking about Carrie Ann and Michael Gordon. Now, Carrie Ann is a doctor, originally from Jamaica, and Michael is a wireless deployment manager, originally from Pennsylvania. Now, they got married on June 6th, like I said, during a Black Lives Matter protest in Philadelphia. Quote, while I was getting ready in the hotel, this is Carrie Ann speaking, and I'm reading over vows that I wrote 5 months ago. At that moment, I was just so overwhelmed with emotion. We already had a lot built up inside because of the protests over the past week. So seeing that we were embarking on this together and everything we've been through, and that now we're on the forefront of America fighting for justice and trying to push for positivity and change, I'm not only proud as a Black woman and Black professional, I'm so proud of him, her husband, to represent who we are as a people. The bride tells Vogue. Read more about the couple's story in the Vogue magazine. But in spite of this, kind of amazing display, right? I'm sure you saw some of the photos go through just now. I've been kind of seeing a bit of mixed reviews on social media. And so some are wondering, is this a distraction and a deterrent from the George Floyd case? Or is this a really powerful image of Black love kind of on display in the midst of what is a really tumultuous situation? Carmela, what are your thoughts? I'm tossing it to you. Let's bring in John and April and let's see what you guys think about what's going on.
Oh, awesome. Good morning to you, Claudia, and good morning, John and April Nixon. Man, this is a good day to have you on here, this beautiful couple, to talk about this idea. Claudia, you know me. If there was a protest that was going on when I got married, I certainly would have loved to have been able to walk over and be a part of that. I love this idea. And the thing for me is that this wasn't an idea. And that's where I come down on this. This was not a destination wedding where they decided that they were going to take on or insert themselves into a protest. This is what it means to be a Black person in America. You get married, you have to love, you have to live, you die, everything with this cloud around you every day. And so for me, this was highly symbolic of what it means to be in love and a relationship in America if you're Black.
Yeah, absolutely. John and April, what do you guys think?
So first of all, we loved it. I think you liked it, right, babe? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought it was dope. So
I did too.
I thought the idea itself was cool as I read the headlines and stuff like that. But I think once I read more about the story, it became even more than even symbolic. Almost like a confirmation. So it's weird. April and I, when we got married, we really wanted to make sure we were doing the right thing. So we kind of prayed through it. And there were several things that we were looking for as like signs from the Lord that we should really be doing this. And so when we finally took the plunge, it was like we were just completely confident that we were doing what God wanted us to do. So I'm thinking through with this couple, right? So she said, first of all, they were planning on getting married much later. And they decided to change the date and make it earlier because of this pandemic, which a lot of people are facing right now. We got tons of couples who are coming to us. We're like coaching them virtually now because they're all pushing their dates up because they're like, wow, we don't know. We know that we can't have our wedding now. We're not sure when we're even going to be able to gather again. So they're like trying to make decisions and they're calling us, asking questions. What do you think we should do? I almost feel like that's what this couple was doing. They were trying to figure out whether or not it's the right idea to change the date and move it up. And as they were thinking through it, they probably were having anxiety about, is it the right time? And then all of a sudden they hear the date they chose to go to this hotel, I think was doing some free stuff, which is the date they chose.
Right.
Then this protest is happening. So it wasn't like they were planning to have the wedding during the protest. They found out later that the protest was happening on the same date that they had already chosen. And so they're probably thinking now, man, what are we going to do? Are people going to be able to get in here? Are the roads going to be blocked off? So things happened and unfolded in such a way that they could still have the wedding, their people could still get there, and they could play this sort of symbolic role in having their wedding in the middle of this protest. To me, it almost feels like the Lord was saying, here's my rubber stamp on your wedding. The date change was a good thing. To me, it seemed great.
Yeah. I saw it as like, two Black people that represent, that we can be professional, successful Black people,
right,
who are coming together. This Black love being shown during this protest, and it kind of shows that George Floyd and these others who have been shot and killed, they had families,
right.
We have families. We have love in our lives. It's not just this being who you can just shoot and kill. It's not just this animal. You know what I'm saying? Like we are human beings who have families, who love us. We love them. It goes further than just husband and wife, children, parents, all that. And it's
so this couple almost symbolizes this greater idea that Black people are not just, people to get shot. I mean, we have lives. We're real people.
We're real people. We're just like you and everybody else who has love in their lives, So I love that they were successful Black people who, it's like they had to do it. It was like they didn't have a choice. Right. That's how I felt. Like I feel like if that was us, it'd be like we have to do this. We have to be out there.
Yeah. There's no way once we find out that's happening, we're changing our date again. You know what I'm saying? We're like, now we're going through and we got to find a way to this and make this where we're part of it.
And I like that it organically happened.
Me too. It doesn't feel contrived. It wasn't forced. You know what I'm saying? And I honestly, as soon as we saw it, we were kind of both like, "Yo, Black love matters." You know what I'm saying?
we just got hyped.
Yeah. It was just great.
Absolutely.
I love the pictures. You know what I'm saying? It was nice. It was heartwarming. So the people that say, it's a distraction, it takes away and stuff like that. I guess a person that maybe read the headline might that, but I don't think a person who reads the actual story is thinking that.
Right.
Because you hear the details of the story and you're like, these people didn't try to create a photo op. They didn't try to insert themselves into this. It was like organically, it just kind of happened. And it feels like the way in which it happened, it wasn't an accident, that maybe God was in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would look at it as a sign, in my opinion.
So in essence, they didn't throw tear gas to kind of disperse the protesters so they could take a picture. They didn't.
Correct.
They didn't do that.
Sort of.
Okay.
That's the perfect example of sort of juxtaposition on how people use these situations for their personal gain. I don't think that's what they were doing. At least it doesn't seem like it. And I feel like if a person was doing that, I don't know about the example you just gave, but I'm just saying, if a person was doing that, I would have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That'd be a little different.
Right. Yeah. Well, the president, he, threw some tear gas, dispersed the protesters.
I think I heard about that at some point.
With his Bible, something like that, But no, I think that's so good. Go ahead, Carmela.
I said, I love the fact that when you read about the bride, she, just like many of us, you go through this meticulous planning of a wedding, it started a year out. You're right. She had to move it up several times. But what they said about her was that she was concerned with making sure that her wedding had what she called timeless details to it. And so you see her there in this very classic, romantic, poetic dress. Her hair has this classic everything. And to me, that is in itself symbolic of what this is, trying to make beauty, trying to go with these themes in the midst of this chaos.
Right.
Is to me so symbolic of what our experience is.
I was just about to say, I think it's symbolic of the entire Black experience. That's what we try to do every single day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Music, make jazz, make poetry, make stories, make everything in the middle of what we got going on. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm layering on top of it.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you guys are saying, because I felt like it was just another example of the fact that we actually don't get a break. And so it's like only white people get the opportunity to wake up and say, oh, well, like this does not involve me. It is separate from me. I'm going to get married today. Black people are like, all right, well, we're going to get married. Then we're going to go to the protest, and then we're going to go down to the church because we got to have the service project. You know what I mean? It's like there's so much. And I think we even see it in our timelines, right? Because it's like on Facebook, it's like you watch someone get killed, and then the very next picture is, kids in Africa, coming up with a brand new dance. Then after that, it's a comedian doing a stand-up. Then after that, somebody got married. It's literally what is on our social media timeline all of the time. We have to laugh, cry, be angry, be in love, all at the same time. I feel like not just her, but their wedding and in the midst of this just really embodied that, like, hey, this is who we are. This is the life we live. Yeah. We can't separate it.
You talked about taking a break. It's funny because you don't, sometimes you deliberately try to take breaks. But at some point in your life, you realize that you can't take a break. And I don't mean that you really tried to take a break. You just tried to, as you're trying to deal with this as a kid, or as a teenager, you sometimes settle into this sort of I'm normal kind of thing. And then something happens to remind you that you're Black.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you grow up with this idea. Yeah, there are no breaks. I'm always Black no matter what. And what I'm really saying is, the only time that you really have a break, at least in my experience, has been when I'm around other Black people. But it's when I get to be with the majority culture that something always happens to remind me, yeah, you're just a Black guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with you, because I was sharing my Black experience. I was asked to share my Black experience as a woman in America with my coworkers and a large group of people. And as I was talking about the experiences that I had from childhood, teenage, adult years, I thought about that, and I was like, man, I had to think about it and say, this is not normal. I mean,
Well,
it's normal for me,
right, but it shouldn't be normal.
Right. It shouldn't be normal.
Yeah.
Like it kind of clicked. I mean, I got emotional. Like I started crying, and I told John, I was like, we don't even really talk about this in a therapeutic way.
No,
we talk about our stories, but this is something that we live. This is what we live.
Right.
And so when I hear people's responses like, oh my goodness, that's what you've been through. I'm like, you're right. Wait a minute. And through it all, I'm going to school. Right. I'm playing sports. I'm getting married.
Wow.
But it's like, we don't really think about this because as Black people, we do not talk about it in a therapeutic way.
What we do is we share with each other.
We share with each other.
Like, do you know what happened to me today?
Exactly.
Or you ain't gonna believe this. Or
it's just I think that's just a part of our culture too.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
But when I started talking about it in that context, the context I was in, I got emotional, and I was like, "Why am I crying about this? This is what we've always lived. Why is this?"
I feel you so much on that. I had a similar experience a couple years ago. I had shared at Andrews at this conference that I went back for, and I was like, "Oh yeah, like when I was like 5, I was in kindergarten that's out here in Maryland, will remain nameless, and so." I went to class. This white boy kissed me on the lips. They called me into the principal's office and they were going to expel me because they were like, Claudia, we don't kiss here. We don't do that. That's not appropriate. So I'm crying. I'm a hot mess because I'm like, I didn't do it. He did it to me. I didn't do it. He did it to me. And so my mom comes, and anybody that knows my mom, she handled it. And so she basically was just like, oh no. And I have had that story for over 20 years, right? I have told it to other Black people. We've laughed about it. Just now, it did not matter. The moment I told that to an all-white audience, I'm getting choked up.
Wow.
And I'm like, why am I crying about this? But there is something to what you're saying, April. It's like when you actually kind of share your actual experiences with racism and racial profiling and et cetera, with white people. And then they actively respond like, yes, that's not okay. That's unacceptable. Then it like hits you like, oh yeah, this is not okay.
First of all, you feel seen. Yeah. You feel like somebody other than, because when you share with another Black person and they say, yeah, I get that, then I don't know, they're Black, they're supposed to get it. When a white person hears it and responds not with, because what you're used to is either being dismissed or the subject being changed or somebody trying to downplay and say, are you sure that was racism? But when it hits them in a visceral way and immediately they respond with, you're right. That's not right. That's not okay. I cannot believe you had to deal with that. Yo, it's like, man,
whoa, you're right. And then responds with, I have never been through that before. I have never felt discrimination. I mean, I had people respond to me. I've never felt discrimination. I'm like, what? I don't even know. I could not even.
You don't know what it feels like.
You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't even. I'm like, you've never. How can you have never felt at least one time? You had never felt that before. Never had that kind of experience. And that took it. I'm like, wow, why do I have to have that story? You know what I'm saying? Like I should not feel that either.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So it makes you emotional.
So I do love the fact that they were able to kind of, in the midst of sort of a terrible situation, have the most blissful moment of their lives, being married in the middle of that.
Yeah.
I like you said,
it displays
Carmela,
that we just keep going.
Yes,
we're gonna continue living.
That's the essence of the Black experience.
It is.
We are not going to just take what it is that we're getting. Instead, we're going to take this and make it into something positive. And I think that's a beautiful thing,
What is interesting, it is because we have this experience over and over again, and because it's so much part of our life, in this moment is going to be so important for us to be able to step back and be able to catalog these things and articulate these things, because we are used to this burn, you know what I mean? We're used to the fire being at the level that it is. Now is when we have to relate to the people that we have relationships with and say, here's what my life is tick by tick by tick by tick. This may be normal for me, but I bet you this is not the way it is. And just like you said, this is a moment whereby people may not be so willing to dismiss it. You know what I mean?
Right,
because a lot of times people are defensive and they say, well, you don't know what I have to go through. I don't have any privilege. I don't have this. I don't have that. But when you put it and you shake it, or you hold it up in the light of racism and you recognize this, but I think it's going to be hard for us to break it down on a day-to-day basis. Do you realize that today when I applied for a loan, this is what happened to me. When I finally got the loan, this was my interest rate. What's your interest rate, by the way? Oh, here it was when I'm trying to go get this house. I had to pull from everywhere I knew how to pull. Oh, you got your nest egg from your parents who passed it down, their parents and their parents. You know what I'm saying? It's like things like this you cannot articulate because this is just the way life is.
Yep.
True.
Yeah.
You're so true. Yeah.
That's good, Carmela.
Yeah.
I know. I think I watched. I'm watching social media now. I saw on social media. Claudia, I saw on social media, Carmela, to your point, like someone had made a tweet just kind of talking about that. Like, you know, my husband and I, we went in to get our house, and the people asked us, you know, can't somebody in your family just gift you like the $400,000?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
No, that's not a thing. No, they actually cannot do that. No. And so that just kind of, you know, reinforces that wealth gap. And there's just so much going on within our communities that, you know, when you see a Black couple get married in the middle of a protest, man, sometimes it just makes everything a little bit better.
Yes.
You know?
It warms your heart, man.
It does.
It just warms your heart.
What'd you think, guys? That was a crazy story, right?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Our personal opinion is that they weren't trying to do it on purpose. They ended up in that situation. It felt like a good thing. And
I thought it was great.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Actually, if we had an opportunity, I think I would love to.
I would have done that.
Yeah,
yes.
me too. It was awesome.
Let's work that out for our 20th.
That's like in December.
Let's create a protest and then.
Then that would be the exact thing that people were upset about. No way we're doing that.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Still, what are we even gonna do for our 20th?
I don't know, guys. 20th is coming up in December.
20th anniversary. In fact, I wonder what we should do. You should give us some ideas.
Yeah, what should we do?
If they're still quarantining by then, what are we gonna do?
What are we gonna do for the big one? That's a big one.
Yeah, we gotta find some place to go. Anyway, all right. We'll hope to see you guys next week.
See ya.
Bye.